Hello, this is Angelia, and you are watching or listening to the podcast Why You Do What You Do, the podcast that talks about human development and psychology to maybe try and help you figure out a little bit more about why you do what you do. Last time we were talking about influence on students' aspirations, but today, the first thing I want to bring up is the situation with momfluencer, Ruby Frankie. In case you hadn't heard that story, supposedly she was a big hit on YouTube. A vlogger, and she was fond of what she called tough love. Let me tell you, folks, anytime you have to do tough love, you should do as we taught our children. I used to teach preschool for about 3 years. Use your words. Don't use your hands or any of it. Use your words. Somebody should have taught her that, because then she wouldn't have been abusing her children. And another thing, if you have to fight to be in control of your child, you're not in control of yourself. You've already lost control. You are in control of that child until they're 18 years old. There should be no arguing about that. You take control, you are in control. And if you feel the need to fight your child or whatever, you're already out of control, and you need to get your head and heart examined and get your stuff straightened out, and then there was the theory that she and her business partner said these children were possessed. Okay, you know who I think was possessed? You two. You and the business partner. That's who I think was possessed, because the devil got you to abuse an innocent little child. And you might not have thought they were innocent. They might have done whatever. But children are a gift from God. And you took a child and beat them and starved them. Who's possessed? Yeah, it's you. Hello, it's you. The devil tricked you into abusing your children, and you went along for the ride. So, I have zero tolerance on that. Zero tolerance on that. Because, like I say, as a parent, you are the boss. I knew I was the boss. I didn't have to fight my children to show them I was the boss. There was no, problems with issues. I did not threaten to destroy my children's property. There were times property was taken away and put on a high shelf and kept there for however long I decided it got kept there. But I wasn't cutting off the heads of things and torturing my children and watching them cry because they were too loud or whatever. No. Anything going on there that I saw on the videos that they were showing on the news was not tough love. It was straight up freaking abuse. And, if you want to disagree with me, then whatever, you may. That's your prerogative. I'm just telling you what I know, from studying psychology, and from being a minister. That's what I know, So I'm going to address that one today, because what I saw was disgusting. A 12-year-old boy whose leg is like this big around, he's that skinny. That's disgusting. A girl in a closet, also skinny, afraid to come out when the police even got there. That's insane. That's insane. And the Karen who opened the freaking door for the cops, they're trying to pull her out. She's like, no, wait, no, hey. Acting like they couldn't come in. It's called probable cause. The child escaped, went to a neighbor's house who called the police, did the right thing for the kids. And she's acting like they don't have a right to come into her house because it's private property. It's called probable cause, In that case, they don't have to wait, for a warrant and things of that nature. They have an emaciated, abused child here. Yeah, they got the right to go in. But I just want to say, anyone who thinks that's okay, you're wrong. That's not okay. If you are supposed to be these good, I'm getting tired of these freaking good Christians, and I don't want to say there's a whole political party that's got a problem, but it does. These good Christian people, hating, abusing, heck no. Heck freaking no. If God is love, and Jesus said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father, that means Jesus is love. And if Jesus is in your heart, you accepted him as your Savior, you're supposed to be filled with love, not hate. There is no sexist Christian. There is no racist Christian. There is no abusive Christian. Because that's not in Christ. So, I'm going to get off my soapbox now and say, never should have happened. People, they got deceived, and children got hurt, and that's a dang shame. I'm just saying, I would take these kids, and, I've offered to take people's kids before. I let a girl move into my house before, who was over the age, and I knew she was being abused at home. Now it didn't work out. It did not. And we had to send her packing because she had other issues, some mental problems, and she was doing the wrong thing, like stealing, so we had to send her elsewhere. But there's just no reason for that. There's no reason for that ever. And go see a priest, go see a psychologist or a counselor if this is stuff that you think is going on, and it's okay, because it's not okay. All right. The educational system itself may act as a subtle brake on vocational aspirations, because the way our educational system is set up isn't for everyone. It basically rewards the smarter kids and punishes the kids who are not so smart. And let's face it, not everybody is an Einstein, The relatively narrow range of abilities valued in many schools gives certain students the inside track. Like I said, the smarter kids, they already got the inside track because the way the system is set up. It's a grade-based system, and, if you're getting the grades, teacher's going to like you better, and you're going to have a better shot at everything. Students who can memorize and analyze tend to do well on intelligence tests and in classrooms where teaching is graded to those abilities. So like I say, the way it's set up, it's a grade system, and the better you can do, the better you're doing, according to the teachers and the school system. Thus, as predicted by the tests, these students are achievers in a system that stresses the abilities in which they excel. So the system is geared towards, the self-starter, the self-efficient, the smarter children. It just is. Meanwhile, students whose strengths are in creative or practical thinking areas critical to success in certain fields never get a chance to show what they can do, because that's not how the system is geared, and thankfully we still had the arts in school when I was in school. Now they're taking more and more of that away. When my children were in school, they had taken music away, and certain schools did not have art anymore. I thought that was a dang shame. That's crazy. Excuse my nose itch here. But we need that. We need the arts back in school so kids can learn, especially if they're more right brain creative people. And excuse me, not everyone, like I said, is going to be an Einstein, but they might be a Picasso. They might be, a Monet. So they may be frozen out of career paths or forced into less challenging and rewarding ones. So, by not getting the grades, they might be shoveled off, and this is all this person can do. Whereas it might not be, but because they didn't get the grades, we'll never know, will we? Recognition of a broader range of intelligences, yes, there are different kinds, combined with more flexible teaching and career counseling, could allow more students to get the education and enter the occupations they desire, and to make the contributions of which they are capable. So if we tweak the education system a little bit, maybe everyone with different types of intelligence. There's even physical intelligence. My son played soccer, and he could chart angles on the field and tell, like, if he did this and if he hit this and this could bank. And there are different types of intelligences, and straight up, left brain analytical memorizing and thinking isn't the only one there is. And we're starting to see that, so that thankfully, different people can have a life that they want to have. They don't have to settle. Guidance students not bound for college. About 17%, and this thing is sitting goofy here. I don't know why, but it is. Let's see if we can get it to work right. There we go. There we go. It sits better. Of high school students in the United States do not immediately go on to college. So 37%. That's a nice little chunk. It's over a fourth. Approaching a third. Most vocational counseling in high schools is oriented toward college-bound youth. So, that's who they're aiming for. And we ran into a problem with my youngest son's high school, where they insisted he had to apply to a college or he didn't get to graduate. Of course, we put a stop to that, us and the feds, because he was already in a work-ready program. He already actually had a job. He was doing vocational, and he was working half a day at this place. So there was no reason for him to apply. He was an ECE student, and his performance IQ was not very high. So we felt like he was where he needed to be. But they insisted he apply to a college or he couldn't graduate. So there are high schools out there who, and we know they get a kickback. We know they get some little, money for that. So that's what it was all about. They didn't care about him, what was best for him. They just wanted their little check or little kickback, for having a kid that signed up to go to college. So you gotta watch that, because the schools are pushing that. And I actually helped another girl get out of it. She had signed the paperwork and everything, but then she realized about a few days before the start of school that she couldn't go. She couldn't afford what the payments were going to be, and so because she didn't have good enough grades to get scholarships and things like that. But anyway, we helped her get out of it. They said she had another couple weeks where she could have dropped out and not had to pay anything, but she was also talked into doing it by a school. So schools aren't always looking out for your kids. You need to be looking out for your kids. And if your kid is not right for college, because let's face the facts, if they weren't right for high school, they're not going to be right for college. So you need to watch out for your kids, because sometimes school counselors and principals aren't really watching out for your kids. They're watching out for their bottom line. Most industrialized countries offer some kind of structured guidance to non-college bound students. Like I said, my sons had, we had vocational at my high school. My husband used to go to vocational, and my youngest son went to vocational. So, there are work-ready programs, which he was in. He was on the news one day. I didn't even know he was going to be on the news, but they came in and filmed him. My cousin was like, "Hey, isn't this your son?" And I'm like, "Yes." I didn't even know. So she shared, the pictures and things with me, and I thought that was really nice of her. Germany, for example, has an apprenticeship system in which high school students go to school part-time and spend the rest of the week in paid on-the-job training supervised by an employer mentor. And so, they're starting them out, as, you know, here they might call it a journeyman, I don't know. But they're an apprentice, and they're learning a trade. And that would also be helpful if we had more of those programs here. In the United States, whatever vocational training programs do exist tend to be less comprehensive and less closely tied to the needs of businesses and industries. And there are good ones here where I live. So I can't speak for what's going on in the rest of the country, but there are good ones here. But like I say, the problem here is the high schools are trying to force them to sign up for a college, even if they're already in a work-ready program or vocational, and they have a job already. So yeah, that's not good. Most young people get training on the job or in community college courses, and that's true. My middle son went to community college. He started out at a college that ended up failing, and owed them a lot of money, which we had to help him pay off. And then after that, he went to our local community college, and then he went to the university here. So he was about a year behind on his studies, but he got there. He got his business degree, and he's a manager at a local business. So many ignorant about the job market do not obtain needed skills, and that's because someone's not investing time in them. The counselor, the parents, someone's not helping them out, because a person 18 years old, fresh out of high school, they don't know what the job market's got going on. It's a very rare child who's going to pick up the paper and start looking, through the want ads, or get on nowadays Google, and start looking at what jobs are available in your area. So kind of be involved. Even once they get to be 18, you're still the major point. The safe. Remember when we talk about little kids, be the safe base, where they can go wander out and then come back to you. You need to be that for the kid even after they're 18, because they don't know everything. They're young, inexperienced, and you need to be there for them still. Others take jobs beneath their abilities, and a lot of people do that. That's the joke about, there was a song where it said you got your PhD in psychology and then you're an employee of the month at Wendy's. So that unfortunately can happen. People got to pay the bills, so if they can't get the job they want, they sometimes have to take the job they can get. Some do not find work at all. And I came across someone who asked me for money one day. Said they've been out of work for like 2 years. Now, where I live off of a highway. Up and down this road, everyone has now hiring signs. Everyone. I mean, we're having hard times here at stores, restaurants, and everything, getting people to work. And part of that is because of the, concessions they made during COVID and everything. But it's like, the longest I ever was not working when I could was 2 days. Like if I lost a job, within a couple days I usually had another job, because I got on the phone, called around, looked on the computer. So, I'm just going to say, you can get a job. It might not be what you want, but you can get one, Excuse me. Now, I did take time off with each of my children because I wanted to have that year at home with them, because we believed the first year is most important to be, with your children. So, yes, there were 3 years I took off, one with each child when they were born. And, there are negative people in my life who say, well, she never worked. Well, I did work all the time, except for those 3 years. And then I retired, within the past, 5 or so. So, of course, I wasn't working outside of home during those years. But the years I never went a long stretch at all without having a job. So, and most people don't, if they need one. Most single mothers I know were never without a job for more than a few weeks. And that's because we knew we needed that money for our kids, so we were willing to take something that we maybe didn't want to pay the bills. In some communities, demonstration programs helping the school to work transition. The most successful ones offer instruction in basic skills, counseling, peer support, mentoring, apprenticeship, and job placement. So there are programs that, teach you how to do these things, and, help you look for a job. We had a couple agencies here, that would do that. You come in and, of course, there's the unemployment office, and help you look for a job. In 1994, Congress passed the School to Work Opportunities Act, which allocated $1.1 billion to help states and local governments develop vocational training programs. And like I said, my youngest son was in one of those. He was in the ready to work. He had a job before he even got out of high school, and the guy loved him. Guy came to our house. When he was on his last day and getting ready to go back, he was like, "We love him. He's a hard worker. He's a good worker. He has a job for life here if he wants it." Now he actually ended up moving on to other places, another place to work. But it's good to know that they liked him that much. And my other son, had a job, and they also loved him up there. And actually, when he lost one job, he went back there and worked there for a little while and told him, "Yeah, I'm just going to work for a little while till I get, a job on one." And they were like, "We're fine with that. We need help." So, these are good things for these kids to help them. Should high school students work part-time? Many high school students hold part-time jobs. One of my sons did, my youngest one, because he wanted a car. And I was just honest with him. I said, "Mama can't afford you a car. So if you want one, you can go work part-time." My rule was 16. You had to be 16. But it can interfere with school. The grades better stay up, because that's your job right now as well. And, you can go work part-time after school. So, he was working 4 to 8 at a sandwich shop. This may be financially necessary in many families, and it fits in with a basic American belief in the benefits of work. And that's pretty much here in America. In other countries, kids aren't usually working. They're usually doing high school, they do college. The parents are expected to pay for that, and they know that, and they do that. And then the child gets a job. Paid work may teach young people to handle money, develop good work habits, manage time, and assume responsibility. And that's kind of was my thoughts on that. It's like, all right, you want this, you have to save this money, and I opened him a student account at the bank down the road, and he had to save X amount of money, and, he had a little, we did the budgeting, this is your bills, this is, lunch money if you want it, this is, for spending, and saving, and so, that was the goal, to teach him, how to be responsible with money so he could, get his car and his insurance that he wanted. It can help a student learn workplace skills, such as how to find a job. And, it can. If they say now hiring, and you go in, and you talk to them, and then they learn, how to interview. And, you don't always get the first one, Sometimes you do. He did, my youngest, but you learn, and it's, of course, scary for these young people to get out and have to talk to grown-ups about getting a job, because they still don't feel like grown-ups yet. And that's something my grandma used to say is like, 18 years does not a man make. So, you know, it may build confidence, independence, and status with peers. Because, they realize they can do this. And other kids do kind of look up to other kids with jobs because they're like, oh, well, they're going to school and they got a job and they got a car and, I could do that, By helping them learn more about a particular field of work, it may guide them in choosing careers. They might get in somewhere, a store, and decide this is what they want to do. Or they might get into a restaurant and decide, hey, maybe I want to be a chef. I don't like the way he's cooking that. Here's what I would do. And maybe that might lead him to go to culinary school later. This is how we figure stuff out. Also, by showing adolescents how demanding and difficult the world of work is and how unprepared they are for it, part-time jobs sometimes motivate young people to stay in school longer. So they might get out there and realize, hey, this is hard. Working's hard. I'm used to sitting at a desk all day and I got to do stuff, And it might motivate them to go ahead and go to college and get some more schooling behind them. On the other hand, most high school students who work part-time have low-level, repetitive jobs in which they do not learn skills useful later in life. Because who's hiring these teenagers? Stores and restaurants. And, they do the same thing all the time, and it might not lead them anywhere. According to some research, teenagers who work are no more independent in making financial decisions and are unlikely to earn any more money as adults than those who do not hold jobs during high school. So, see, it doesn't even really matter. It's a personal choice. And if a kid wants to work, my advice is, let him start working when he's 16 so he can, give him a little money for the car or her or whatever, the scooter. And make sure that you stress that you still expect them to pass school. Because, like they say, there are kids who decide, I just want a job. I don't want to finish high school. I don't want to go to college. But then later on, they might change their mind, and then they got to go back and get their GED. I know people who've done that. By assuming adult burdens they are not yet ready to deal with, young people may miss out on the opportunity to explore their interests and to develop close relationships. If they're not hanging out with friends and doing stuff with others, they might feel kind of left out because I have to work. But really, unless the parents are disabled and they have to give them money, they don't have to work, and you need to stress that to them. Because I knew a girl who was just really anxious and nervous. I have to work. I have to have the money, because I want the car and everything, and my parents can't help me. And, it's like, calm down. You're still in high school. You can ride the bus. You can go around. You don't have to do all that. Outside work may require a stressful juggling of other commitments and cut down on involvement in school. So as, like if in, 9th and 10th grade, they were, say a football player, but then they had to work after school, that might cut down on their ability to be on the team. But a lot of places here where I live, the city very much values sports. So athletes kind of get a pass, If you got practice that day, you can come in late, that's fine. If you got a game, then you don't have to come in, That's just how this town is. Some teenagers take jobs because they are uninterested in school or feel alienated from their families. And of course, like I said, if school's not doing nothing for you, you might just want a job. If you're not having a good family life, you might want to get out as soon as you can, so you might just want to get a job. Some spend their earnings on alcohol or drugs. Now, this is children who are troubled to begin with, or otherwise they wouldn't be doing alcohol and drugs. In the St. Paul time you study, Most of the students who worked were also heavily engaged in school and other activities. So see, the average kid, they're going to do the school, they can work, and they're doing their other activities, and it's not a problem for them. You know what's right for your kid, so you need to make these decisions and help them make decisions that are right for them. According to student self-reports, the number of hours a student worked did not seem to reduce self-esteem, mental health, or mastery motivation. And I assume they mean mastery of their school and work. Excuse me. So working did not throw them off track. You know, most kids who are well-adjusted kids, it's just one more thing in their life, you know. Working had no effect on homework time or grades until senior year, when students who worked more than 20 hours a week tended to do less homework than other students. And these students who are still in school don't need to be working over 20 hours a week. Employers will push that. Well, you're 18 now. Yeah. No. If the student is in school, they should not be working more than 20 hours a week. 4 hours a day, that's plenty enough. That's it. Even so, their grades and achievement motivation did not suffer. So, see, like I said, the average kid can work and go to school, you know, and it's going to work out okay. And students who worked fewer hours had higher grades than those who did not work at all. So working the fewer hours is giving them a little boost, and they're feeling better about themselves that they can do this. You know, I can have this life, and so they're doing better in school. And it might be that they're even trying a little harder than kids who aren't, you know, doing anything. So that's where I'm going to leave you for now. I hope this helped you figure out maybe a little bit more about why you do what you do. Please like and share this educational program so we can spread it around the world. If you want to help me out, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to help me out even more, go on my Patreon page and become a patron. That's all for now. Until next time.